At 1 o'clock. Sitting down.
I'm in
Well
the
done.
You know, I can multitask. I'll give you some.
Kia ora koutou. Welcome everyone to our public excluded council meeting. Well, it will be at some point during the meeting. For Wednesday, the 10th of December. Welcome to our guests that we have. Well, I wouldn't say you guests, but speakers that we're going to have during the meeting. Staff, welcome. We'll open with our karakia tīmatanga. Mai te pai prima.
Mai te awa tonga. Te awa raki.
Tēnei te apri,
Tarataki. Whānau whānau. Haere mai te tuki. Yeah.
We have some apologies today, and one is from our representative from Ngāti Kahukura Awhitia, Joel Ngātiri, and Councillor Rachel Round and Councillor Steve Gullen. Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Newman. And a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Haley. All in favour? I gather there was other apologies. Conflicts of interest? No. Public forum? If anyone public forum? We can skip 5. Youth Council views on agenda items. Rosie, welcome.
Afternoon. Okay. Youth Council would like to start with saying hello to our new councillors. We're really excited to work with you, and also hello to the new staff members. We're very excited to annoy you by dragging you to our meetings to ask you really, really not important questions. It's our favourite thing. For our opinions on the agenda items, we would just like to talk about the mention of the Wairarapa in the... No, it was for the Lonely Planet. The Lonely Planet done by the Destination Wairarapa. Very sorry, it's way too hot to make. The Youth Council is thrilled to see the development and success of stargazing operations in the Wairarapa and the amazing attraction it brings towards the Wairarapa region for tourism, and see our growth as a community, bringing people to see the stars and appreciating how small our world is. The increased tourism as a result will be good. However, we would like to see opportunities for youth to get involved and find employment and internships as tourism develops as a main pillar of the Wairarapa economy. Thank you guys so much. I think that's me.
Questions? Thanks, Josie.
Thank you.
Appreciate Josie.
Confirmation of the minutes of the inaugural council meeting held on the 29th of October. That would be the first one. I'm happy to move that the minutes of the inaugural council meeting held on 29th of October 2025 are true and correct. Second. Thank you, Councillor Burns. All in favour?
Aye.
And do we have another one there as well? Okay, and the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 30th of October 2025. We have a mover that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 30th of October 2025 are true and correct. Thank you, Councillor Della. Seconder. Councillor Lawrence, all in favour?
Aye.
So nothing, no, obviously you've agreed they're true and correct, so let's move on. Right, reports. That was quick. Correspondence.
Your worship, just correspondence, putting it on the agenda for conversation, discussion, should that need arise. 4 lots of correspondence, 3 from ministerial areas. Obviously, the proposal to simplify local government, which was mostly targeted at the regional council area, a rates capping proposal regarding seniors, and a grateful thank you from the Rotary Club of Carterton regarding the Christmas parade. If I were to pick out anything, I'll probably start with the correspondence around the regional council proposal and a small paragraph in the letter that might have been skipped over, and I'm just on the electronic copy on page 25, where it says, to support this process, the government will undertake a separate rapid review of regional council roles and functions to identify any which may be reallocated or discontinued. Inquiring of the government at our mayoral forum the other day, I asked whether or not we would participate in that review or whether that was something that government was going to do on their own, and the answer was it's an internal review that government will do on their own, looking to see if there are any functions that may be consolidated back into central government. My feeling of that was probably something as large or as significant as public transport might be considered as part of that review.
Mm.
Other than that, I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks, Jeff. Questions, Councillor Bella?
Yeah, me, Steve. You just got a couple of questions. Item 8.1 on page 26. The partnership director, I presume our partnership director is under the Wellington region, and it is Warren Euler.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. It just doesn't say anything about Wairarapa or any of those. We're not even on their map.
He came to meet me about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Yep. And the other question I've got on page 27, item, I noticed in Simon Watt's letter of explanation rates capping, it applies to all sources of rates, including general, targeted and UAGC, but excludes water and other non-rates revenue. What are the other non-rates revenue they're talking about? Is it fees and charges?
Yes, so it would be financial contributions that we collect in terms of subdivisions and developments, fees and charges. We get grants from traditionally the government offers grants. So there is approximately, I seem to recall from our annual report, 82% of our income comes from rates, but we do get approximately 20% of our income, or 18 if we're being specific, from other sources like those financial contributions, fees and charges.
So we could within reason, what I'm saying is create more revenue from our fees and charges within the thresholds provided.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just a comment, probably for the record, really, and the off chance someone might be watching. There will be submissions on this. They're due in February sometime, and we are due to consider a submission on the 28th of January, I think.
Correct.
At which time we probably would have a more fulsome discussion than we're going to here, because there's not much we can do about this later.
Correct.
That's right.
The same comment that you highlighted in the report, Jeff, about functions that might be reallocated. Has there been any indication of what might be coming towards us, not just going back towards government?
Not at this stage, no. I think if we look at high-level function, regional council undertakes civil defence, emergency management. They look after parks. They do flood management, environmental management, consenting, and public transport. So I think if we look at those macro areas, there's certainly been no indication that anything will be coming to city or district councils or regional councils at this stage. They're open for submissions. It's just an idea. The details are yet to follow. Is there something you'd like to take over?
Not too eagerly.
Some of their funding.
It's like they paid for it.
Any further questions?
One more with regards to the next letter, with the 2 to 4% band on rates capping. The point that I'd noted here was that there will be a transition period from 2026 to 2029. During this time, councils will be required to consider the rates target when setting rates, but it will not be mandatory to operate within this range. To me, this is concerning. I think it's really opening up a whole can of worms for the next couple of years. Considering the rates target seems like a very vague comment for the government to make, and I do wonder how councils are going to be forced to respond to that kind of impending cap and what it's going to do for the rates going into the long-term plan.
I agree, and I find it interesting that there's a general election next year and that the proposed start date for this is the 1st of July 2029, which is about 3 months before the next general election in October 2029, which is, not necessarily the most ideal time for a government to be pushing policy. We shall see. There's a lot of water to go under the bridge.
Sorry, Jeff. I just had one question. I'm just interested to hear from the Mayor just about on page 24, the idea of creating the new body with the mayors to actually replace the elected regional councillors. Just in relation to the recent Mayors Forum and just your initial impression, I'm just interested to know how the initial impression of the mayors on that idea in terms of capacity and how that could actually work.
I think there's far too much information that we're still to receive yet to know what that 46% is going to entail that Greater Wellington wouldn't have to perform and might be passed on to us, or what part is going to be passed on to us. But as for us working together, I think we've had some fantastic conversations already, and we're certainly moving forward as 3 mayors for the Wairarapa. And as you know, it's coming back to us as a council to make that decision how we move forward. And but I'd like to see more detail involved, and I think all 3 of us mayors will as well, before we make any definitive comments or begin leading our council in a certain direction anyway, apart from just considering the possibility of amalgamating and going for a unitary authority. Wellington are going through that process as well. The Wellington Metros are looking at a unitary authority as well, the same as us, and we're going through that process at the same time. So I was quite surprised, and I think everyone was quite surprised at the mayoral forum how we were very aligned, all of us, to move with the direction we wanted to move forward. So, and I think we will. I don't want to second guess central government, but I think they'll be very supportive of 2 unitary authorities coming from the Wellington region, one covering the metros and one covering the rural area.
Before we put in our submission, I understand that we need to put a statement of intent collectively as 3 councils. Is that correct?
I believe that will be part of our submission.
Right.
Letter.
Recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah. And when will we cover that?
We're submitting that in
So one of the recommendations today is to
just to support the
Sorry, which component are we talking about? There's 2 components. There's a submission to the proposed changes to government,
It's not that.
and then there's a letter.
The statement of intent, a letter of intent.
Letter going to the Local Government Commission,
Yeah.
which is a report later on in the agenda.
Gotcha. Okay.
report.
Yeah, the submission is what we're going to be discussing on 28th January.
Come back early from your holidays. I want that noted too.
Any further discussion, questions? We have one recommendation, and that's that we note the correspondence received. Happy to move it. Thank you, Councillor Newman, seconding. All in favour?
Oh.
Against? Carried. 8.2. Joint Wairarapa Council letters to the Local Government Commission and Minister of Local Government. Who would like to speak on those?
I'm more than happy to start that off. As Councillor Casey was just talking about previously, there is a proposal for the three mayors to seek information from the Local Government Commission about proposals for any kind of structural change across the three councils. A draft letter has been prepared and is attached. And furthermore, we'll also, understanding the pressure that we are under, all three of us are under, we'll seek to see if there is any additional funding that may be available to help us get through this process.
Next year. Questions, discussion? One thing to note from this is part of the government's suggestion is that we will set up a CTB. And I think our feedback to government is we would like them to make a legislative change to the Local Government Act. So when they're looking at putting this bill through Parliament, we want them to make a legislative change to suit the Wellington region, which they're able to do at the same time, so that we don't have to set up a CTB, which is
Territorial Board.
Yes, thanks, Councillor Della.
So just to be clear, so we're trying to circumvent the stage of the mayors being the governing body of the regional council and just sort of jump straight to the unitary authority that we manage.
Yes.
Okay.
To clarify why, so the Local Government Act does allow for amalgamations and consolidations. Since 1985, one has occurred, which was Banks Peninsula, which kind of collapsed their council. So the legislation hasn't been particularly successful in allowing councils to merge or amalgamate on their own. And the three mayors also believe that attempting to head down that path now is also likely to be less successful. So Auckland had specific legislation that was enacted to enable them to become a supercity and a unitary. The request from the Wellington region mayors seems to follow the same line, which is saying it'd be easier if you just made a carve out in the legislation for the Wellington region to allow us to do this, rather than either forcing us to go through the combined territorial board thing and then figure out some other plan, which was 2 years later, or use the current Local Government Act, which has been particularly unsuccessful for the last 3 decades. So neither option looks particularly good. The question is, how can we go faster? Perhaps by a legislative change that the government enacts would allow Wellington region to go faster.
But we're still talking post local water done well establishment, still 18 months away kind of thing, or is that not the case anymore?
I think we're looking at, for the next local body election will be for
Wairarapa.
Thank you. The way I read it is that the basically would be all set in place coming up in the next 2 years, coming up for ratification at the next local body elections. But I'm in favour of the number 3 in the recommendations that we do seek further information and also setting out the options and timelines of government funding available, which I think is important. So that's the way I would see it.
We have been informed that there is no funding available at all.
Surprise.
but that doesn't stop us from asking for it.
I think we need to ask, and I think every council that is involved needs to ask.
Do you know how many other councils are involved in the same process as us, looking at this as an opportunity for amalgamation across the country, apart from Wellington?
I couldn't answer that question exactly.
No.
I'd heard most are
Yeah.
sort of pushing them in that direction.
Interestingly, Warren earlier said when we spoke with him, suggested that Wellington was probably further ahead in their thinking, whereas a lot of the other councils were still getting their head around the proposals and the details of the proposals. His feedback to the Wellington mayors was, it looks like you've moved beyond the proposals into how do we make this work for us? And that could be a relatively short period of time, but I agree with Deputy Mayor. I think a lot of councils around the country would be considering exactly the same topic.
It's moving.
It mentions in here that we're remaining open to including Te Araroa. Have we heard anything from them as to whether they might be interested, would not?
So from the mayoral forum, we made a decision that we would push forward with our letter to, we didn't want to wait. Te Araroa will potentially have to do quite a bit of work, whereas Wairarapa have already looked at a unitary authority several times in the past, and we already have a lot of information. I don't believe Te Araroa have ever been through that process, so they will have to collate a lot of information to fit into ours in a short space of time. But if they can, but we're leaving the door open for them to join us. It's just it might take them a little bit longer to get up to the same level as where we might.
Have you heard if they do have an appetite to potentially want to do that?
Sorry?
Have you heard if they potentially will want to do that from them?
I don't think they're closing off any option at this point, whether they might want to join Horizons and over in Manawatu or Central Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, they're under Horizons at the moment, aren't they? Yeah.
So
I guess the only thing that might change it for them is the local would have done well. That's the only common denominator.
their mayor has suggested to me that they're very open to sheds, to increasing, well, I don't think we have any shed service with them as yet, but they're very open to beginning shared services with the Wairarapa councils. And to me, that shows that they have an interest in potential amalgamation. But those conversations will get underway.
Yeah.
I think it's just worthwhile mentioning here the combined council meeting that we had the day that the announcement of the demise of the regional councils became public, and there was generally a warm feeling in that room towards the putting together of the councils. And this letter that we're discussing here, I think that was where you and Fran and Bex got together and said that would be a good thing to do first. So I think this already has some currency in the other councils.
But I thought it was really good. Nigel Corrie, CE, and Darren Ponta were both at the mayoral forum, and they are, if I can say, supportive of how we're proposing to move forward. They understand the government wants change, and they're prepared to move forward with that change. Just how that is going to pan out is yet to be seen. But they're open to how it's all going to work. I mean, there was conversations around, does the Wellington region need to set up its own transport network, because we have so many cross to set up a unitary authority? How are we going to control the transport network? So it might pay to set up a separate transport group covering not just the Wellington region, but potentially drawing in, if they're okay with it, Palmerston North, because that's our circuit.
At that point that Jeff made before, that some functions may move back to central government, and that transport would be a logical one.
Yeah.
That might make that sense.
Yep. But they're supportive of our way forward.
Yeah.
It was great conversations. I was quite impressed.
Mm.
Although I wasn't impressed with the way the government's gone about it with their announcement against regional council and with a statement that was made that they would need to pay for this transition as well. I thought that was a bit on the nose, really. We'll do this to you and you're going to pay for it. Yeah. Sorry.
If your own execution.
Yeah. I was going to say a similar comment to Councillor Lawrence about our combined Wairarapa meeting, and just note the fact that we did have our local MP come and speak to us that day as well, who mentioned the fact that there would be money to help us if we were willing to make it happen quickly. And I just wonder if we can sort of hold him a little bit accountable to that statement and remind Kieran McAnulty as well that he has said for years that this needs to happen. They're both very supportive of the Wairarapa upcoming one. And how can we leverage our local MPs to champion this with us and use the likes of the new Mayor of Wellington and the new Mayor of South Wairarapa who have connections to Parliament and make sure that we're doing all we can to maybe be the case study and get some funds to make this actually happen. So it's not just another talk fest.
I think that's one reason. One good thing that came out of the Mayor's Forum is the positive way forward and the speed is what that we want it to happen. So I don't know whether that should be part of a letter.
Yeah.
That we add Mike Butterick and Kieran McAnulty in there.
Them in, or they need to be informed of what we're doing.
It'd be good to get the feedback from government and then say, hang on a minute. But hey,
We actually have 4 MPs residing in the Wairarapa.
You're right.
So I wouldn't
Let's do those
say
two.
that we need to CC them all, all from 4 different parties too. So.
Councillor Burns?
I understand that we're at the really early stages of this decision-making process. I'm just wondering if there's any indications of how community consultation could be included in this decision-making process, because I think at this stage there's been a lot of discussion with elected members, Mayor's Forum, combined council meeting, but I'm just wondering if there's been any discussion around how we bring community into this, because as I understand, there's been 2 other times that amalgamation of the Wairarapa has been seriously on the table. During one of those times, there was actually a referendum and the community voted no. I feel like I'd really be interested in what the communities think about this idea.
That certainly formed part of our discussions. The 3 Wairarapa mayors were of the mind that the Wairarapa has shifted in their opinion from what it was the last time we went through this process, which was a referendum. And we actually don't feel that we would need to have a referendum to get us to that point. But there will certainly be consultation that will occur. Do you want to add anything to that, Jeff?
No, I think feedback from the Local Government Commission will inform us on the process that we need to follow. And I fully expect they will also be looking for community involvement in the process.
Further questions, discussion? Okay, we have 4 recommendations. Do you want to take them separately? You're happy to take them together?
I just wonder, do we add a recommendation around notifying the local MPs with this letter going out as well, that they're not blindsided by it, that they get drawn in at this point? Or do we wait till we've sent it and then say, by the way?
Yeah, just number 2 to include that. Agrees to write a joint letter from the Wairarapa mayors to the Minister of Environment and Local Government.
2 and 3 is sort of one.
Yeah,
I missed that. I apologise.
That's right.
There is a typo that I was about to cover off, but
I just wondered if we should have a recommendation that specifically lays out the fact that we will inform the local MPs of this letter being sent, or they'll be CC'd into it, or that kind of thing. I think it might be helpful when it comes to us asking them for money.
Okay.
In part of the process.
perhaps we can add it to being that we note the letter will be copied into all
Yeah.
the Wairarapa MPs. If I could just point out to the meeting under 2, we agree to write a joint letter from the 3 Wairarapa mayors to the ministers for local government. So it's not Minister for the Environment.
Mhm.
And the Local Government Commission, which is actually, it's not under the minister, it's the separate commission. And the Local Government Commission. Sorry, it's not going to the Minister for the Environment.
Okay, let's take those separately so we can get the change right. I'm happy to move that we receive the report. If we have a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Della. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, recommendation 2. Agrees to write a joint letter from the 3 Wairarapa mayors to the Minister of Local Government and the Local Government Commission, indicating our interest in amalgamation of councils in Wairarapa. And 3 or 2A.
Yeah.
Note the letter will be shared with the 4
Local MPs. Yeah.
Presiding
MPs.
Presiding MPs.
Presiding MP.
The 4 residing MPs in the Wairarapa.
Yeah.
You got that, Robin? So let's, it's got someone to move. Happy to move that. Deputy Mayor Ayling, seconder. Thank you, Councillor Newman. All in favour? Against? And 3, agrees to seek further information on the process and timelines and government funding available to progress an amalgamation path for the Wairarapa councils as set out in the draft letter in attachment A. Thank you, Councillor Della. Mover. And a seconder, Councillor Burns. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And 4, delegates authority to the mayor to make changes to the draft letter in conjunction with the other Wairarapa mayors. Deputy Mayor Ayling, seconder. Councillor Lawrence, all in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. 8.3. Chief Executive's report.
Thank you, Chair. Look, a fairly comprehensive report, which I'll take mostly as read. I'll pull out a few highlights, noting the Daffodil Festival had taken out award at the Wairarapa Business Awards, and the Event Centre had taken out a small event venue of the year award, which are 2 fantastic celebrations for our teams who have done an amazing job in both those events. Very happy to congratulate them and thank them. Team's also done quite a lot of work in terms of our solar panels, and so pleased to see that those credits are now coming through in our account, and the issues now moved to finding what happened to our streetlight billing. So we tend to have challenges around streetlights, and that's also creating a problem with billing with energy supply. So we're following up on that. Some challenges also with excessive noise and recovering of excessive noise, particularly where there's repeat offenders, and attempting to manage that on behalf of our community. Some really good feedback from NTFJ, but I'm more than happy to stop and take questions.
Thanks, Jeff. Questions?
Yeah, just in terms of the awards, it's great that we got them, but are these the type of awards that kind of get shared around, or are we likely to win it again next year?
It's a bit harsh.
I reckon.
The bars are incredibly high, and I'm so proud of our team. I think in terms of our awards, particularly for our event centre, it is quite a difficult award to win. It's a national award, and so to have a small town like Carterton punching well above our weight, I think we should celebrate that success.
Absolutely. I was sorry if I gave any aspersions. It wasn't intended. It was just a case of that if we did stand out as well as we did, I think we have a high chance of achieving it next year. Yeah.
Thank you.
No pressure.
Thank you.
Councillor Newman.
I have a question. Christmas parade, awesome, love it. Question about the financial support with it, with the traffic management. Does that come under community grants? It doesn't. Should it?
That's a long-standing agreement that we've had. It's one of those things that discussion. So around the Christmas parade. Something that we
Because there'd be a sizable cost attached to closing State Highway 2. Well, I'd be keen to have further discussions on it. Not that I think we shouldn't do a Christmas parade at all, but I would just love some visibility over it.
I was just going to add a comment to that, and I've already passed this information on to Glenda just around feedback from businesses around the traffic management and cones that were put out on Friday evening. The businesses felt that it was putting off the community utilising car park spaces in the morning, Saturday morning and so forth, leading up to the parade. And also the timing of the road being closed, it was actually longer and before it reopened again than what was in the traffic management. So it'd just be good to, from our business's perspective, if we can ensure that Rotary are actually enforcing traffic management.
So we pass that feedback to
Right. That's awesome. Thank you. Questions? Further questions?
In terms of solar, if it's Gallon Road, it's been quite a success. Are we looking at any further solar rollout?
At the moment, no, I'm not. What we're looking for is there needs to be a legislative change for us to transfer the credits that we're earning during the day from Gallon Road to, say, here, where we're drawing electricity off the grid via a different ICP.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for the government to make that change. And once we do have that change, we can then start installing further solar in Gallon Road, which will offset our draw elsewhere in our group of accounts, because we hold multiple electricity accounts.
Yeah.
At the moment, the legislation does not allow us to reduce spare credit on Gallon Road and use that to offset our draw at the same time somewhere else in the network.
Have we considered solar panels on the event centre roof?
We have considered solar panels on this site, probably not on the roof, but potentially on this site. So we've got a whole lot of workshop sheds, which might be easier to put. The problem with solar panels on roofs is you end up drilling holes in roofs, and that's never a good idea. So we'd probably look, if we were going to do it, we'd probably look to do it somewhere else on the site, but not on the roof.
I was just interested in what's the income so far through the solar panels?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I could take that as an action and circulate that.
I just noted that it said that you're trying to figure out where to put it into the budget, so it got me excited. It might be a sizable figure.
I will get an answer to that.
Further questions? Councillor Newman?
It's a combo of a question and observation. The call outs, my maths, which I'm not always right at, you can correct me, it's costing us about $27,000 a year. For call outs, we spent.
Noise.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I mean, yeah. So that's a sizable amount of money. Looks like we're problem solving for those repeat offenders, as in, are they the ones who make the noise? That is what you mean by repeat offenders, not people who keep calling their neighbour and are reporting them and it's not actually.
Correct. It's the person that is generating the complaint.
So we can stop that part, but how do we then stop these call outs that are coming in when it's not over sound limits? Because that's a sizable chunk of money.
Education.
You don't really answer this.
Yes, that'd be great.
What we have done, we do really detailed records, so we can filter and really find out who the repeat offenders are.
Mm.
And what we've actually done with a couple of them have written to them and said, over this period of time, we have received 9 noise complaints from you. Of these, 1 has resulted in notice or not. And then we've sent them actually our pamphlet and our brochure that talks about how when noise control goes up, they have this matrix where they assess it and they score it on a certain level of points. Mm-hmm. And that's depending on audible base level, the time of day, how long it's going for. If it gets to a certain level, it results in an end notice. So we're trying to just inform them before you ring us, maybe consider what the process is that we would go through if we go on site and there is no noise. And we've been quite upfront with them, and this is what it is costing us every time you are ringing. Should this behaviour continue, we may need to look as per our fees and charges of recovering all reasonable costs.
Okay.
And actually the 2 serial offenders that we've been dealing with recently, for the past 2 weeks, we haven't had a call from them.
Oh, awesome. That's good news. Cool. Thank you, Sally.
So, yes, education.
Deputy Mayor?
Question on the Wahine Trail Bridge project. I see that it's got noted that we're going to have a workshop in February where the group will come to present to us. Are we going to be asked for money at that meeting? No, it's just looking at the design.
Just the design.
The intention is that they're looking to externally fund their own projects to get with. So I think conversation it's made it clear that we would only fund to this point.
Yeah.
So they
Fantastic.
Just to supplement you to that, for that meeting, are we able to be provided where our costs are at against the budget that was approved? Just so we know where we are. That would be great. Thank you. I have a question. Probably another question for Glenda, sorry. I'm just wondering if we can be provided the costings associated with the continual remedial work required on our Carterton Park toilet block from vandals. I think it'd just be really good for the community to get an idea of what it's costing us, even on a 6 monthly basis or 3 monthly basis for fixing up vandals.
we can do, but the vandalism go quite a big. So it's all of the park issue. But we have to try and break it down to.
So that raises another question. Could you provide an overall, but could you also separate out the toilet block? Because I just think it'd be really great to give some feedback to the community as to what that's costing. I mean, our table here could decide just to close that toilet block, and remove it. If it's going to continue
every night.
So I know.
Can I add that one of the challenges that we face, and I know Glenda has faced previously with this question, is it is a lot of our internal staff time that is spent on repairing, and they don't log it as a repair. They log it as I'm working in Carrington Park, or our facilities guy logs it as I'm working on council facilities, whether it's this building, whether it's our main building, whether it's the toilet block. So We do have, we do are very responsive to the damage that occurs and the vandalism that occurs there. But that responsiveness is with our own internal time, and we don't log it as time. So we may be able to find the cost of the materials we use, but the labour component is a harder thing to articulate. We will try. We will do it and give you an estimate of what it takes.
Is there a way we can alter the system where we could flag it as a vandal job, so we know when there is work going forward that's being fixing?
We risk, yes, we could, and we risk slowing down our responsiveness. So our parks team just see it and fix
Get
it.
on, yeah.
And that's what we encourage them to do. So I think the best estimate, best way forward would be for Glenda and Mark and myself to figure out a time allocation after talking with the team. I don't want to slow the team down from responding to vandalism.
Yeah.
Or BAU at the moment.
It's quite a difficult one to handle on.
I just feel like we've talked about it for 3 years now, and we've threatened to close the toilet, but we haven't. And I just wonder if it just needs to happen.
We could just trial it.
Yeah. See if it,
24 hour?
That one.
that's when the problems are happening, through the night.
So close it at night.
Potentially, we could trial that.
Something for us to discuss. Further questions? I have a couple more.
Can I just make a comment on that? Something for us to discuss. It has come up, like you said, over the last 3.5 years now, and we haven't made any solid actions on it. Can we get a bit of a plan about maybe is it a workshop, or what is it to actually look into it? Because every week's another expense, isn't it? So it'd be cool to get an actual plan behind it.
I think having a workshop on it would be good. It would also be quite good for us to know where the limit is for council. So if it costs $10, is that okay? If it costs $100, is that not okay? Where's the line where you think it's too much?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, I think a workshop early next year would be fab.
Sorry.
I was just going to make another comment. At the end of last training, we agreed to spend some money upgrading the park, and it's really disheartening seeing it treated the way it's being treated in those photos. It's incredibly sad to see that that's how communities treating it. And I know it's not all of them, but it really does make you question whether that is a good decision or not.
Especially funding that's set aside to beautify it a little bit.
Yeah.
Questions? I've got one just under the planning and whether this could be for Sol. It's just around central government's announcement that we're going to possibly require a spatial plan for the Wairarapa. And I'm just wondering if our Wairarapa combined district plan that will be finalised at some point, and the future growth strategy that we've already completed over the last 3 years, I think it was, maybe even longer. Do you think those overlaying each other will help us work through that spatial plan that's required for the Wairarapa, so that we don't have to spend so much time on developing a new spatial plan?
I think we've just got to be a little bit careful about what terms we're using. So they've taken it down to 17, what they call them regional plans, and then each of the territorial authorities, which could be a Wairarapa one, would have what they would call a land use plan that sits underneath those higher regional documents. So they're proposing 17. So reading the work that came out yesterday and trying to digest all the info, our plan, what we have now is our combined district plan, would become, in essence, the land use plan. The Greater Wellington plans they've got will be some of the regional type plans, which is where the FDA and the spatial planning all sits. So with our plan, we still get to carry on, which is really, really good, because they're saying it's not going to be until like 2028 to 29 all these plans come into place and that councils that haven't got as far through the review as we have, that stop any work on it will continue. I think the devil is going to be in the detail with this, because my looking at it, I'm just going to take an example. We have 20 days to process a non-notified resource consent in the new bill that they're proposing. We would have 45 days to process a non-notified resource consent. So I'm like, they're talking about the consenting process is slow, yet they've given us an additional 25 working days to process consent. Seems a bit crazy. That actually, it's not a lot different to what Labor came out with. It's just simplified wording and some tweaks. You know, reading through the two documents, it's not unexpected. There isn't any major shots in there of different directions than what we're anticipating. We will need to potentially tweak our district plan in terms of the activity status, because we have non-compliant and we have controlled. So we'll probably have to look at that as in the control activities, do they go to a permitted or do they go to restricted discretionary? And permitted doesn't mean people have to do it, they actually still have to apply to council to say it's permitted, and council has to issue a certificate to say it's permitted. So not a lot different to a controlled resource consent. Does that sort of answer your question? So our one will be the land use plan, not a regional spatial plan. It will be the land use plan.
Okay, kind of.
Kind of.
So you don't think the future development strategy or future growth strategy that we have now will assist us in the spatial plan that they're requiring us as a unitary authority, if that's what occurs in the future? Or do you think we're going to have scrap?
It's all going to help. All the work we've done is going to help. I think you'll find it's really designed in a lot of these existing documents and that's going to roll into different names. But a lot of the fundamental basics are there.
Okay. Thank you. I just had, sorry.
I was just going to say about the swimming pool. We had a little discussion earlier today, noting the fact that it's open for the season, which is great, but there are already issues with regards to the limits that are in place because of the lifeguards' capacity and that sort of contract. Is that something that we'll be able to look at all before summer? Because we're going to be breaking and people are going to be queuing all the way down the street towards the train station to get into the swimming pool. It might be a long, hot summer, and I'm just wondering if there's something we need to do in the short term.
So I think the starting point is the pool standards mean that we are limited by the size of the pool as to how many people can actually be in the water at any one time. So it's not limited by the number of lifeguards, it's limited by the pool standards. So we're only allowed 100 people in the water at any one time in that pool.
Right.
And so where we've got per lifeguard.
So 50 people per one lifeguard.
Yeah.
So,
No.
Yeah. Could.
So
it is one.
Sorry.
Basic.
it's not to do with the amount of people in the pool.
So it's the, okay.
I mean,
that was
within
my
the top-
mistake. It's 50 people per lifeguard. Pool standards give us that. So potentially we could increase the number of lifeguards.
so you can see.
Okay.
That's just asking.
Mhm.
So we can increase lifeguards, but that again comes with a cost. So it's something that we can talk about later.
What is the capacity of the pool? Just in terms of, if you had, take lifeguards out of the equation, is there a maximum that's a health and safety thing other than lifeguards?
I don't know, find out and come back to you, but we wouldn't allow probably hundreds of people.
That's 100 people in the pool.
It's in the, not in the facility.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, we're restricting to 100 people in the facility. aren't we?
No, 100 swimmers in.
It's hard to manage.
Yeah, they don't really couldn't tell if people are going to sit on the
Yeah.
sidelines or not.
Yeah.
It's a bit tricky.
So based on the feedback, so the conversations followed up with my team, just waiting for responses back from them, so I can feed that back to you. So
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Probably another one for Glenn. Sorry. It's fantastic, the opportunity. Some organisations are applying for waste minimisation funds and so forth to support their events. I'm just wondering, is there any feedback from Gladstone Scarecrow Festival as to the amount of waste that they managed to divert? That would be great. Just it's really good to read Daffodil Festival and what's diverted, so it'd be great to read about Gladstone. Further questions, discussion?
Can I just jump back to the pool for a second? If we did decide that we should have one more lifeguard, is that going to have to come to a full council meeting for us to?
It's not currently in our budget. We have, yeah.
Which isn't until mid-February. Yeah. Okay.
Peak swimming season.
Yeah. There's no workaround for that.
Delegate to the chief executive at this stage. That's what we've contracted for.
So we could add a motion that we could delegate.
If the numbers stack up and it all looks appealing and we have broad consensus. It enables us to do something over summer if we need to.
Yeah, for 2 months.
I think we need to know from Glenda how it's actually being operated, if it's 100 people in the pool or 100 people in the facility, or because that makes quite a difference depending on how those who are managing day to day, what they're actually looking at. It would be good to know that before we made a decision they need another lifeguard.
Glenda, you were saying that you wouldn't want more than 100 anyway, is that right?
Let me go.
Can we just?
Maybe at the end of,
Okay.
once we're finished with all the reports, I can come back with an update.
I think I'd just be interested in how many days are we actually talking about? If we're talking about a cost, another lifeguard for the summer, how many times is this actually happening? Is it once or twice in the summer? Is it more than that? I'd actually quite like some more information just on costing and a bit more rationale for that extra costing.
I don't disagree with you, Jane.
Yeah.
I just worry that we're not going to make a decision until after summer.
Yeah.
And it's another summer. This happened last summer as well.
Once we get the feedback about the capacity of the pool, irrespective of lifeguards, if there is capacity for another lifeguard because the pool can take it, then that's a viable option.
You know, the idea of someone being on call on particularly hot days when you know there's going to be a 30-degree day, having someone you can bring in on those days. We're not wanting 3 people sitting there on rubbish days.
That's correct.
But when there's a peak need, then it makes sense that we could bring someone in for that.
On an all basis would be actually quite a great way to go if we're allowed to do that. So I'm supportive of a delegation.
Perhaps we could get some information.
Sure, we can get some information and then look at because Glenda's going to hopefully have a bit of information before the end of this meeting. So
It's a whole fire. Yep.
it's let's wait and see. I just had another. Will you take it as a comment? But this is for you again, Glenda. It's to do with Mayor's Task Force of Jobs. So part of the update that I received is there is funding available for councils under the Mayor's Task Force of Jobs to access funding if we wanted to have a council cadet. And I'm just wondering if we could potentially look into that and where we might be able to use a council cadet.
It's coming through our HR circles rather than the MTUJ, so it could link to the MTUJ. So it is the HR managers, we're just talking about how that might work. Program, yeah, that's the MSD funded program, whereby they train 12 young people and it sits outside the MTUJ.
This was through MTFJ. funding. That's what we were told yesterday.
Separate to the W program.
Yes,
We will look at that.
so maybe that needs to be confirmed, but
Steve, what's a cadet? Is it like an apprenticeship,
trainee.
something that's not an apprenticeship program?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's just what they were called. So I've just utilised their language. I just had a couple other things I wanted to raise. Just this is probably a bit of praise for Sandra. I just with her support of the group who done the Christmas trees in town. I think it's fantastic. Put a bit of colour in the middle of town. Carter Court, they provided 90 of those crochet squares. Just a small part of those crochet squares, but what a fantastic project that the community got them behind. The walking festival, I've heard great praise back about that again. So I know that this is on. I believe it's on Sandra. I also wanted to praise Jenny and Cherie and the staff and everyone for the citizenship ceremony and the way it was run, and the feedback from our new citizens was fantastic. They absolutely loved the walking in, the singing, and it was staff and a couple of people attached. It was just brilliant, and the quirkiness that goes along with it, not getting everything right all the time. I think that's a real part of it. So just high praise to Jenny and Cherie and the rest of the team. It's fantastic. And I have one more, I believe. Sorry. Also wanted to mention Suzanne on her 20-year work anniversary. I think Suzanne's one of the reasons our building and regulatory department is held in such high regard across Wairarapa building companies, construction companies and developers and so forth. So thanks, Sol, if you can pass on to Suzanne.
It's birthday today, so.
There you go.
Please wish her a happy birthday. And okay, I've got one more, just a question. And this is around the 4 near misses that were reported at the Wairarapa Reservoir. I just wanted, if we can put a little bit of clarity around that. Is this at the potable, non-potable reservoir, or is this associated with the new project we're undertaking?
I'm going to ask. Actually, I can speak to that. It is staff that are looking to get things changed. They're recording them and health and safety. So it isn't really our members. It's just improvements that can be made to signage and that sort of thing. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, definitely things. And it was a discussion, but it really should have been one item with a whole lot of list rather than 4 separate near misses.
Okay. Thanks for that clarity. Further discussion, Councillor Lawrence.
Just in terms of emergency management, I'd say I have a lot more confidence as just a resident of the Wairarapa that we will be pretty well placed in the future. I think the management of the emergency management office and the workshop we had this morning gives me a lot of confidence, and I feel pretty good about all that.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's good feedback. We're really happy with Simon's on board and is leading the charge. And from our perspective, Jerry's picking it up and as a portfolio lead. But yeah, we're happy with Simon and the Wairarapa.
Yeah, from a mayor's perspective, Simon's fantastic to work with, and even Jane and Mel, they get out in the community, and Mel was fantastic at the emergency open day, I think it was, at Carterton Park a few weeks ago. It was great. They had a CDM tent there and that's great. So I think we are in safe hands, yes, Steve. Rightio. So that's all discussion. We have one recommendation, and that's that we receive the report. Happy to move. Do we have a seconder?
No, not this time.
Councillor Casey, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Brilliant. Thank you. Rightio. 8.4. Destination wide. Roger.
So for those councillors that know me, my name's Roger Wigglesworth, who don't know me. My name's Roger Wigglesworth. I'm the council's appointed representative on the board of Destination Wairarapa. So each of the councils has a member, and then there are 3 members elected by the members of the Incorporated Society. And I am also, I've just recently been re-elected as chair of the board. So that's who I am and why I'm here. Normally, I sit very quietly in the background while our chief executive talks to you all. But today I've been let loose all on my own. So this could be incredibly dangerous. You've received a report from us, which is now it was up to the end of September, so it's sort of a bit out of date. But we report quarterly to you. Normally, the front page or 2 or 3 pages is full of very interesting facts and graphs and things. But when the government told MB to cut back on its staffing, they decided to cut the data team. And so as a consequence, we don't have very much data, but they were starting to build it up again. So at the moment, we just have this accommodation data, which are just accommodation providers send in information to our statistics department, and they produce these data. So you can see our accommodation reduced, the number of people in accommodation, the Wairarapa reduced during that quarter. But it's also down nationally as well, so we're not entirely outside that trend. The big thing, and has been mentioned already by the representative from the Youth Council today, was the awarding of experience, a top experience for 2025 by Lonely Planet. Now, the focus was on stargazing, but actually, because of a lot of work done by the team in Destination Wairarapa, when you read the 2 pages, there's come from it the stargazing, but by the way, eat lots of food, drink lots of wine, and go to all the other places in the Wairarapa. So it's sort of we got 2 for the price of 1. We got the experience thing, but we also managed to sort of get the destination thing put in there. Because of just hard work which we do it. So just to be clear, things like Lonely Planet appointments don't happen by accident, right? So this one began probably around about 2022 when a writer, a freelance writer, contacted Destination Wairarapa and said, "I'd like to come and do a piece on destination, on Wairarapa as a destination. Could you support me?" And we had a small budget for taking people around, hosting them, telling them about how great things are. So that out of that came this woman's desire to really promote Wairarapa. There are other people that we put her in touch with, and it was a sort of combination of all of that when Lonely Planet asked for nominations for 2025, our nomination went in. It was a great write-up, and it was accepted. We've in the report we just tell you sort of very quickly after the announcement how many hits and things we started getting on our website and other socials. Since then, we've had some data from booking.com, which is the website that's run by Tourism New Zealand. So if you're interested in coming to New Zealand, you go onto the Tourism New Zealand website, and then when you say I'm interested in XYZ, in this case Wairarapa, it loops you off to where it's Wairarapa, tells you what's happening and tells you the options. So we've had over 600% increase in the number of visits. So they're not just accidental hits to that bit of the national website, which is specifically for the Wairarapa. Again, not an accident, because the team at Destination Wairarapa had been gearing up for this. So we had all our socials ready. So we were able to bombard, cheer and share with the people who were on our lists. But we also, for instance, for those of you who are at the joint council meeting, you missed the beautiful video that we'd done. But we mentioned what they call B-roll. Somebody virtually donated it to us that we were able to provide to all the media when they wanted to show stuff on television or in other places. We gathered all that together. So it was all ready to go. And I think it's been a lot of the hard work of Barb Hyde and Claire, just getting, and Denver, getting all that stuff ready to go. That's really kicked it off. So we're starting to notice the increase in people. One of the things that happens when you get an award like this is that everybody wants to come and see you. So that then puts much more pressure on the staff again to organise visits. And we had, just an example, we had a visit from 9 influencers, the Malaysian influencers, one of whom has 30 million people that he influences. And they came over, spent time going around vineyards and things, and then spent time up with Sam and Hari at the stargazing experience. It was a bit cloudy, so they spent a lot of time bemused by the long drop toilet. But anyway, it's all, no publicity is bad publicity, as they say in our game. We just prior to the announcement was because we knew the announcement was coming up, and so did she. The minister came, Minister Upston came over to visit. Mayors all came for a drink to say hi to her as well. She was really impressed by what we did, and so about a month later, the minister was announcing tourism boost awards, and we're part of the New Zealand Classic Wine Trail, which goes from Hawke's Bay through us down to Wellington and across to Marlborough. And so the minister announced $991, very precise figure, millions dollars to $1,000, sorry, to help boost that classic wine trail. Again, we've been part of that classic wine trail for a number of years. The fact that the minister came over, saw what we had to offer here in terms of hospitality and accommodation, as well as the experience, encouraged her. And in her press release, she specifically pulled out the Wairarapa to mention as sharing in this $991,000. The last thing to note in here is that we just listed the events that we support. At the joint council meeting, and our chief executive did talk about the need for an event strategy across the whole of the Wairarapa. And we're still keen to do that, but we do support through our socials events. The last thing just to say is that the minister talked to us about what her strategy is. She's also got like a 4-year strategy for tourism, where she wants to start off. What she's doing right at the moment is trying to build demand. And the data came out today, 200,000 extra visitors have come to New Zealand last couple of months. I think I just heard it as I raced towards your meeting. So her desire is to build up demand, but then fairly quickly she wants to build up supply, so things that you need. So just hearing this morning that the five town trails have their Waini Bridge stuff ready to go, that'll be ideal. That'll be the sort of thing that the minister will be looking for. She already thinks Wairarapa's top notch. So if they've got their, and you're supporting it with whatever needs support by way of consents and all that other stuff, ribbon cutting, then if that's ready to go, I reckon in 18 months' time there'll be an announcement that and the minister will say, I've got this money, who would like to queue up and get it? And the key to that is she usually gives you about 2 weeks to get your bid in. So you've got to be really well prepared. That's how we managed with Classic Wine Trails. We were ready. 2 weeks we got the bid in, and we're one of the few that got all the money we asked for. And a lot of people missed out. So that's my summary. Things are looking good for the summer. Pity about the pool. But things are looking good for the summer in terms of lots of people wanting to be here to enjoy what Wairarapa has to offer.
Roger, appreciate it. Questions?
Kia ora, Roger. Thanks for that report and congratulations on the Lonely Planet inclusion and all the really good work you guys are doing. I just did notice at the combined council meeting, we heard a really interesting presentation from Anna. She presented a slide showing the tourism spending of domestic and international tourists in the Wairarapa, and it divided the spending showing how much was spent in each of the district council areas. Yes. And I'm aware you guys work on behalf of our whole region. You're doing a great job. I did notice that Carterton had only received 7% of the total spending. I just thought that was something just to bring up, and I completely understand it's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario, and other, South, Martin Borough and there's other regions have kind of maybe more for tourists. But I just wondered if you had any comments on that in terms of where Carterton sits.
I think there's that. Yeah. So thank you. One of the things that's important about Carterton, most of the things that people come to us for and really enjoy are free, like Mount Holdsworth and things like that. So, yes. And so the problem is that the tourists are coming. It's just that we give them the stuff for free, except if they drop into Auntie Ginger's. So that's part of it, and we don't have a lot of accommodation here. Most of the accommodations in Masterton and then there's while the number looks small, it's not necessarily a good indication of how many tourists are actually coming into the Carterton district. But we certainly, since I've been on the board, I regularly invite the team to point out to me the things that they've got on the website that relate to Carterton, the things that we're pushing that relate to Carterton, and like in the events, the Daffodil and other programs we support as we do those in the other parts of Wairarapa. But you're quite right, it's a bit of a challenge in the balancing act.
Yeah, I understand that. Thanks.
Thanks, Roger, for your report. Really, really good report as usual. Congratulations both to you and Anna. I'm just looking at the on page 69, the statement of service performance, and the metrics you've got down here. And whilst I read everything's achieved, the figures in the first two lines in 25 are less than the figures in 24, yet they say achieved. Are they against a matrix of some sort? Or?
I think it's against a percentage increase. Sorry, I don't have that right in my brain. I forgot to bring the 7 report.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. And then on page 70, just looking at your financial performance, you've turned a fairly big deficit around to a surplus, which is really good. On my calcs, it's about 99k. So,
yes.
Well done, and things are on the right track.
Well, yes.
We're getting better.
We're not flush. A lot of it has to do with timing, and when money comes in from the councils, if you could manage to get in just before our end of the year, which is 30th of June, we look flush. But we've got that money to spend then after, we have to live on that money after the end of June. So, but we have been, as you know, one of the things we did, Councillor Della, was regrettably closing the Masterton eyesight because we simply couldn't afford it. And we've focused now all on Bamborough. So we do every meeting, we're looking at ways in which we can most efficiently and economically use the resources when available.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Sure. A couple of questions, just following on from Councillor Della's question there. With regard, you mentioned closing the eyesight because you couldn't afford to keep going anymore. But I note that no staff were laid off. So what real saving has there been in rental income?
So it was the cost of the eyesight.
Yeah.
The other thing that the eyesights are actually owned by a company. So we're like it's like a franchise, and so if we were going to keep it open, there was also a whole lot more expenditure we were going to have to do to bring it up to the eyesight standard. Yes, no staff lost their jobs, but what's happened is the number of but the number of hours that staff work has shrunk.
Okay.
So the hours that they used to work in Marston are no longer available, but we put this situation to them. They went away, discussed it, and came back and said, what we'd like to do is just share out the hours that are available amongst us, so that none of us are made redundant. What has happened subsequently is one of the staff has decided to leave, so everyone's hours are going to go up a bit more.
And another couple of questions with regards to, you talked about the tourism boost package, and it's noted here that because we don't have a Wairarapa major event strategy, we weren't able to get around these deadlines. And then further down it talks about, because we don't have a Wairarapa destination management plan, we can't support this initiative either. So this is in page 58.
Oh, right.
So there are these two documents that it looks like Destination Wairarapa are after.
Right.
Is that not something for Destination Wairarapa to create themselves and have the councils to ratify? But would that not be part of their core business to create a event strategy? Or
Believe there
isn't a management plan. That's why I was surprised. Sorry, I didn't see the reference.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I say
Okay.
a local. Where it currently stands, why are we not even able to respond to the
we couldn't create a business case.
the supply side stuff.
Yeah. So is that not something that Destination Wairarapa should create themselves, and then we give it the tick?
So yes, we have created the destination management plan. Yes, you've given the tick. There are 4 pillars in our destination management plan.
Yeah.
One of those pillars is the responsibility of Destination Wairarapa, which is the marketing.
Yeah.
And 3 other pillars, which is increasing, actually getting people over here safely and not blocking the road, the transport stuff, and new product development, which is what this paragraph is talking about. That responsibility was taken by WEDS.
Right.
And what has or has not happened with those 3 other pillars are the responsibility of WEDS, not us.
And is the major event strategy with WEDS, or?
No, there isn't a major event strategy. So and to get a major event strategy, you need time and money, and we don't have the money.
But it would be something that Destination Wairarapa should lead?
It would be something, I think, sensibly that Destination Wairarapa could lead. Certainly, we talk with Wellington, New Zealand as well, because that's a space they operate in effectively.
Mm-hmm.
What is the definition of a major event?
No. Yeah.
Right.
So a major event strategy is where, we've sort of almost vaguely got one, in the sense that we've got a lot of events that happen in the Wairarapa, and everyone knows when they happen, so they know not to have their event on that same.
Golden Shears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but if you have a major event strategy, what you're doing is you deliberately name the major events at when they're going to happen, and what are the things you're going to put around them that maximise the benefit to the Wairarapa from it. So it's a more structured way of doing things, and because when the minister dishes out the nice dollars, she's generally asking for, the minister's generally asking for, okay, so how many more people are you going to get? How much more money are you going to get? And a lot of these events are not paid events, like the Christmas festival at Raytown. And so we have difficulty one by one trying to justify it. But if we had a whole big strategy that says the Wairarapa is intending to quadruple the number of people, attending major events, that we're going to look to see if we can get internationals also engaged a bit more, and a strategy that looks like that, then the minister would be more inclined to fund it. So we have been, we've mentioned it for a number of years, but it's just one of those things that we've got to decide whether that's what we want, how we want the money spent.
It sounds like it's a KPI that you want. We just haven't asked to do it.
That's right. But you'd have to also slip us up to Luca as well.
Yeah. Well, that might be the case.
Something that you don't.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the stargazing, and it's clearly now a growth area.
Yes.
Do we have new operators coming on board to satisfy what I hope is a growth in demand? And I look at it in two ways. I mean, one is you've got the stargazing, you know, the observatory type thing, and the other is accommodation. You know, are you seeing operators take up the slack in anticipation of demand, or is it just staying static and we'll just fit them in as best we can?
My observation at the moment is that the latter is more the case. So people are starting to adapt their offering, so that they're in the recognition that there are going to be more people coming. But Wellington, New Zealand, for instance, ran a series of training courses for people with sort of dark sky, who would be part of the dark sky, to encourage them to think about product development, and so they can probably speak to you on how successful that's been.
Yeah.
We certainly believe there's an opportunity. There are things like the Carrick Observatory, which was the sort of first observatory in the whole country, which tumbled down and is now being restored. And those are sorts of things that will encourage people to come here more. There's huge opportunity, but there's a need for people to get support for product development, and that's one of the things.
Yeah, because it kind of worries me that, you know, we get this sudden enthusiasm and
That's
everyone
right.
find it rather underwhelming.
Yep.
And, we lose, you know,
The opportunity.
well, you know, a bit of Facebook posts here and there and all that, and you know, we lose the opportunity.
Yes.
So it's almost like the publicity's come just a tad too soon.
Yeah, but absolutely. Well, I mean, during the COVID period, the government gave all tourism organisations quite a large chunk of money to keep going and also start doing stuff. And so one of the first things that we did in Destination Wairarapa was to hire a product development manager, someone who could actually go out, and she did spend time with Sam and Hari, just talking about how you might build and grow that sort of business. But when that money ran out, so we had to stop her contract.
Okay. The other question I've just got for you, just in relation to where we are strong, well, not in Carterton, but more in the Wairarapa, is wine, you know,
Yep.
wine tools and things like that. Is it growing? Is it being maintained, or is it? I've heard statistics that, you know, alcohol consumption is starting to reduce, you know, and that may reflect in the various fairs and festivals we've got as well. Have you seen any danger signs there at all?
No, not at all. And especially since the new boost money we've got is for marketing to non-New Zealanders.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be quite as cautious. And the other thing that we're doing as a part of this new thing is, you know how you go to somewhere and you might sample some wines, you think, oh, I have a bottle of that, and then a bottle of that, and then suddenly you realise that,
I'm an alcoholic.
No, 23 kilos of luggage has just suddenly been taken up. I'm going to throw my clothes out and say, so there's a company that has just opened up, which was operating recently, where you go to all the vineyards, you order what you want, and then that company actually puts that, and arranges the freight back to you.
Yeah.
And we're using some of the money from the Boost Fund to actually make that free.
Mm.
So if you're international and you're zooping around Hawke's Bay, us in Marlborough, you just say to the vineyard, I have a couple of those or 6 of those or whatever, and the company just swoops in, bundles them up and takes them home to you. And for this period of Boost, it's free.
Mm.
Okay.
So we certainly, every opportunity we've got to encourage, and the minister is particular because she's the Minister of Tourism and Hospitality, so she's really enthusiastic. Anything you can do to build New Zealand's product in the area.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Further questions? Discussion? Roger, I've got a question just around the in the report. It mentions AI.
Oh, yep.
Underneath TripAdvisor. And I'm just wondering, are Destination Wairarapa looking to utilise AI?
The answer is yes, we use AI but mainly for, internal documents things. We're not using it to sort of groped around externally. You know what I mean? But I mean, we do use AI because it's actually rather helpful.
So I guess my question is, are Destination Wairarapa looking to how they can best utilise the growth in the AI network?
Yes, so we spent a lot of time putting together our website, which is now really working exceptionally well for us. So we look for every opportunity we can. We've got $75,000 to promote the entirety of the Wairarapa every year, and so we look for every single way we can to multiply that. And social media is clearly one of the ways, and using AI in that to an advantage in that area is something we're looking at.
Further questions, discussion? No? We have one recommendation, and that's that we receive a mover and a seconder. Councillor Casey and Councillor Della, all in favour? Against? Carried.
Thank you very much. See you next quarter.
Thank you.
Have a good Christmas.
You too.
Okay, 8.5, Wellington NZ. We have Tasha and Matt, supported by Anna.
I've got 14.
Kia ora koutou katoa. I'm Matt Carrere from Wellington NZ, and this is Tash. So we were here in this room actually at the Combined Council Forum just recently. So I think to reiterate some of the message we shared, that we are the Economic Development Agency for the Greater Wellington region. We are a council-controlled organisation, part owned by Regional Council and City Council, Wellington City Council. We are the regional tourism organisation for Wellington City specifically, so like Destination Wairarapa is for Wairarapa. That means that on behalf of City Council, we do market the city and therefore the region, because it makes sense to try to attract people to the region for longer. So we are the gateway for people coming from outside into the region, and then we share some of that with the rest of the region, working closely with Anna and the team. Our entire destination marketing team is actually in the Wairarapa right now with Anna and her team. I did invite them to come, but they declined sadly. We do, touching on the conversation earlier, we do manage the major events strategy for Wellington City specifically. The point I'll make there is that that has to come with the major events fund. Major events cost money to bring to a particular part of the country. You have to actually pay for the events to come, and you have to ticket them and track the out-of-region spend, which is what the minister is interested in. So we do that on behalf of the city. That gives us the funds to actually attract things like All Blacks games and Ed Sheeran concerts and so on and so forth. On behalf of Regional Council, we are the Economic Development Agency, and our mission is for the economy of the region to thrive with more people participating in the benefits, which kind of, to keep it short, jobs basically for more of our people and jobs that create a good level of quality of life. We work to support industry sectors, we work to support businesses, we work to support workforce development. So it's that balance between creating jobs and making sure our people have the skills to actually fill them. We do that for the whole region. That very much includes Wairarapa. Roger was also talking about working with central government and making sure that opportunities are leveraged. The way that I describe that is kind of like the merge like a zip. You know, you can take it whichever way you want, from the top to the bottom or the other way around. But as Roger mentioned, the stars, sorry for the pun, kind of have to align, which is that all the way from ministers all the way down to, you know, regional strategies and separate strategies, things have to be in place for central government funding to be unlocked. Kanoa, with their original events fund, sorry, not events fund, the original provincial fund is one example of a central agency that has funding for regions, including Wairarapa, and of course the tourism set of things that Roger just talked about. So things that we've done recently that have an impact on Wairarapa. So from the tourism side of things, Roger already mentioned the $1 million from the Tourism Boost Fund for the New Zealand Wine Trail. So Wellington NZ led the application process. Our entire marketing team dropped everything for the 2-week window that was open to put applications forward. and put the application forward on behalf of the entire trail. So it's obviously not Wellington city-centric at all, but it's good for the city, it's good for the region, it's good for Wairarapa, that this money will actually be available to promote. Wellington NZ also partnered with Auckland Council and Rotorua. So Rotorua got all of the glory for the $10 million that they got to promote the North Island. And that's their name on the cover. But it was a joint effort between Auckland, Wellington, and Rotorua to make sure that the North Island gets promoted. There is capacity for more tourism in the North Island. There isn't in the South Island. There's no social license for more tourism in the South Island anymore because it's saturated, whereas there's room here in Wairarapa in particular. We also work with, so the Dark Sky, obviously all credit goes to Anna, Barb, and their team. They've done a fantastic job liaising with the minister, with the ministry, and responding, as Roger mentioned, to all of the inquiries that they've had since. Our team has helped. We've published many stories on our website. We've reached out to media support. We try to promote that internationally as well, alongside Anna and Barb, who are leading that strategic effort. And we're working with all of the media that we know to actually make sure it's featured. It will be a very long tail. I think to the point of did the publicity come too soon? I don't think so. There will be many months and years of interest in stargazing in Wairarapa. We support businesses across the region as well with funding from MB. That includes Wairarapa. I think we mentioned that in the report. In Q1, there were, I think, 22 businesses received capability development support. And that's to make them better businesses. They can create jobs and employ more people. We're the screen office for the region as well. At the moment, there are 2 movies being shot in Wairarapa, a dog show and Black Sheep. So we help productions come to the region. We help them with funding locations. Obviously, Wairarapa have there are very specific types of locations that you can find in Wairarapa that you can't in other parts of the region. We help them find crew as well, which is always a challenge for productions that are moving around. And then we work with a number of sectors, and primary manufacturing obviously are very important to Wairarapa. We do skills development, and we help remove barriers like trying to work with central government and making sure that there is water available to Wairarapa sectors that need to grow and have the opportunity to grow with not necessarily more water, but more resilient water. So that's kind of from a regional perspective, and we share the report on that. Specifically with the 3 Wairarapa councils, we have an MOU to deliver a work program under the Wairarapa Economic Development Strategy, focused on food and fiber and workforce development, which are kind of the focus for this year in particular. And also continuing to progress that workforce resilience agenda. And I'm going to hand over to Tash. Share some highlights.
Yeah, I am conscious of time and I'm keen to have a chat and field any questions from you guys. So I'll just quickly touch on 2 of our priority areas. So food and fibre being our biggest growth driver. That grew 8% last year. So under that pillar, we're working on a piece of work, future options. So looking at how can we support the primary sector as a whole to do what they're doing now better, to add value to their production, and also what are some future options that might not be on the table now, and how do we unlock those barriers to make them viable for the future. I'm having a catch up tomorrow to work out what the next steps are. We've got some options on the table that are aligned with the market and are viable, both short term and long term. So hopefully we'll be able to come back in the new year and give you a bit of an update on what those might look like. We also provided some co-funding to the seed processing plant that's gone up to Minister Jones for decision making. So we are eagerly awaiting to hear that announcement come through. And then the other piece of work that we're doing is around a capability boost. So this is, again, it's all linked, all these projects together. So working one-on-one with a small group to start with to see how it goes. We've designed it with some of the industry bodies, the agri bankers and consultants, to really get them set to succeed for whatever the future looks like, whether that be diversification, converting from a family farm to a corporate, and everything that comes with that. So that's something that we're kicking off in February. It's taken a while to get it all planned out. We were going in one direction and realised that industry bodies are coming out with things as well. They've had change in strategy. So we've been able to pivot and hopefully deliver some more benefit to them. The other piece of work that I'll touch on is the skills and workforce development. So that's Anna's baby. As you guys know, our population is increasing. 45% of our population lived out of Wairarapa 5 years ago. So we don't have enough products and services and people to maintain our region and grow it. So that is why we're focused on skills and workforce. 3 of the highlights for there is the Attract, Connect, Stay project. So that is being led by Tūparonga Trust, who have set up as a charitable trust. Their aim is to firstly focus on our healthcare sector, so making sure that we're able to attract the skilled people that we need in the region to support our population, but looking at it differently. So it's not just about the person, it's about their family and what their needs are to settle and to stay in the Wairarapa. A lot of our healthcare people only last here for 2 years, so that's a big piece of work. The Trust have just appointed a strategic connector to start that piece of work in that direction. Has been informed through some community workshops that were held towards the end of last year. The first piece of work is actually just connecting Wairarapa, both the healthcare sector and our communities, to what services are available here. Another piece was the Industry Big Day Out. So that was delivered in partnership with Reap House. 55 secondary school students from 5 different schools visited 10 businesses in August just to get a flavour of what are the local businesses and the pathways that we have available here. There'll be another one early next year. And then really excitingly, we got notification last week that we have received Wairarapa 150 laptops that are ex-MB, Ministry of Business and Innovation, for implementing the digital fluency project that we've got going on and making sure that our community are able to participate in a digital life. So that's really, really exciting. Oh, there we go.
Yes, okay. Great report, thank you. And great to see also the amount of effort going into what I call non-glamour areas. You know, tourism is often quite sort of glamorous, but food and fibre is really important to our region. You mentioned about seeds. Is that the initiative that Richard Kershaw's got going? Right. And so that's being put in at Wainawa at the moment, right? And so we're just waiting for funding and approval. And if we get that, that's a big celebration.
Absolutely.
The other thing I've just talking about Wainawa though, it's sort of like an underutilised area. And I understand that industrial land in Wellington is getting hard to come by. Are you involved in trying to get more interest in Wainawa as an expansion compared to say what's happening up, the coast, which I think would also be competing for that land as well?
So you're familiar with the regional leadership committee of all mayors and iwi leaders. So the committee was set up a few years ago and has different working groups and projects underneath it. So the regional economic development plan is one of them that Wellington and Z delivers on behalf of the committee. Access to industrial land is a key enabler of growth across the entire region. And yes, Wainawa in particular is a fantastic opportunity. There is a steering group that is looking at the supply and demand of industrial land, which I believe Solitaire sits on behalf of Carterton District Council. And the steering group meeting only last week, I think, was actually hosted here in Carterton with a visit of the Wainawa estate. So it's early stage. The work of that group will be supported by Wellington and Z in terms of that supply and the demand side. In particular, the way I think Wainawa has a real opportunity to carve its own niche in terms of what sectors it would be attractive to. There's a lot of manufacturing in the primary, food and fiber, sector in that area already. And I think there's a great opportunity. It's early in that process. You're right, there will be competition across different parts of the region. At the moment, there is no industrial land available at all. The occupancy rate, I think, is over 98%. It's the highest in Australasia. businesses that want to grow have literally nowhere to go other than to leave the region. So the fact that there is actually a coordinating body for different councils to look at different opportunities and refer opportunities to each other is fantastic. It's a combination of the planning teams and the economic development teams, which is great. And then in time, there probably will be a business attraction strategy that needs to be developed, looking at which businesses would make sense to come to which part, of the region, where it makes sense for industries to be clustered.
So if I read you right, you're saying there's not the available land on the west coast. It is in Wairarapa.
No, there are different sites, and it's not really for me to comment on which ones. I know that Levin, so it's on Horowhenua, there's some space there potentially, and Wainawa, I think off the top of my head, I'd say these are the two that are kind of tucked towards the top of the list in terms of readiness. Availability.
So transport must be a major factor in all of that as well.
I wouldn't think so, and that's where you probably would want to be smart around what types of businesses do you try to attract to where. It's got to make sense in terms of accessibility and like logistical accessibility to the sites, and also the workforce that's available, and that's where clustering kind of makes sense. So there's some way to go there, but there's real potential for it. Did you have anything to add, Tish?
Thank you. Yeah.
Councillor Lawrence.
Page 86 of our agenda, there's a comment here. I don't understand it, but you might be able to explain. The Wainawa Process Water Project is complete, and the case for action report is being translated into public facing communications collateral. I don't know what that is, but has it got anything to do with helping us attract customers?
You said last time, didn't you? You asked that last.
Well,
Consistent.
didn't have an answer either.
Waiting on the tick for the seed processing facility.
I don't think they need water. They need hot air.
Yeah.
Oh, this should become a politics scene.
But I guess just to give some clarity on that, a case for action report is a report that WED's funded under the water resilience strategy, and it builds a case for Wairarapa as a whole, all of our communities, our leaders, and it spells out what.
Kind of get that. What about the rest?
The rest.
What is communications collateral?
Oh, so the report at the moment is about 110 pages.
Right.
And that's not going to be a great way to communicate with everybody.
On summary.
Yeah.
You've done well, and you just use that word.
There's a few different pieces to it to drive home what our region could look like in 2050 if we do or don't do something.
Is that how you look out to? Is 2050? Are you, in terms of your planning?
For
various activities, right?
Well, it depends. So at the scale of the greater region, there are, but they need to be updated, population projections to 2050.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the horizon that's being looked at. 2050 is also looked at in the context of climate change, and what the region might look like by 2050 as well. In terms of planning, the regional plan has a 2032 outlook, so it was 10 years when we launched in 2022, and we refresh it every couple of years. For the WED strategy, it's 10 years as well, I believe, and the work program that we're working on is to June 2027, so it's a 3-year work.
But the things that we're looking to do, food and fibre skills and water, do have that long-term projection.
Yeah, so you have long-term plans already.
Yeah.
And they should align, right?
Yes. Yes, and so we actually have a steering group that helps us guide the direction of the work program for WEDs, which has representation from economic development officers across the 3 councils. So Glenda is on our steering group, central government through MB, Kanoa, and then expertise from the 3 areas that Tash mentioned, so food and fibre, workforce development, and water resilience, as well as iwi, to make sure that we have actually that view that is aligned with aspirations of the region. Obviously, that's what we're at.
Councillor Dale.
Yeah, thank you. Just more on the seed processing and storage facility. I noticed that basically the application's been complete and Shane Jones hasn't got back to you yet from, as promised in November. Has there been any feedback or questioning as to why the delay is? Are they asking for more information or what's the story?
I believe the decision has been made, but he has a lot of decisions that he would like to make a song and dance about. So that's what we're just waiting for.
Does that mean it's bad news?
We,
He wants to really have a ribbon cutting.
Oh, right.
So waiting for Ron to be free.
You can be confident.
we're very hopeful.
Okay.
Okay.
But have a cycle.
You know, there is a cycle where things go up to cabinet, and if you miss that cycle, you have to wait till the next one, and sometimes that can be quite a long period.
That's great.
I've just got one question, and it comes from something that Roger mentioned around Minister Upson's potential funding available for tourism. Is Wed's shovel ready to throw something at this with, say, Five Towns Trails? Or do you have something in your Wed's?
So tourism isn't a focus area for the WID's work program because that's what Destination Wairarapa is for. So but that said, we do work together, and tourism is a focus for Wellington and Z for the region at large, and we work closely with Destination Wairarapa as well. So I guess the answer to your question is not under the WID's work program, but yes. The two things that I will mention there is, so you refer to the Five Towns Trail. So it is identified as an initiative of significance for the entire region in the Regional Economic Development Plan. There is a regional trails framework, which is being developed for the whole Wellington region. There are currently a few gaps in what that framework looks like in practice. And one major area is Wairarapa, and the Five Towns Trail pretty much fills it entirely. So it's critical to the trail network from the entire region. And we just released some figures on the growth of trail tourism across the country. And I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it's high. It's specifically around the Great Rides. We do have one in the region, the Rumutaka Cycle Trail. Obviously, it does come on that side of the hill, and it connects into the Five Towns Trail. So there's great potential there. So that initiative is in the Regional Economic Development Plan. And it's obviously we're working with the trust, and they're doing fantastic work. I think we're talking about the Wahine Bridge, so that design is ready. Like there's lots of things that are investable, and back to my sort of merge like a zip analogy, we do have a lot of these elements in place already. The second area is around dark sky, which obviously has been talked about just earlier as well. There is a steering group for dark sky. I sit on it on behalf of Wellington and Z. And Anna obviously is a key member on behalf of Destination Wairarapa, but it also has three councils as well as iwi and DOC on the group alongside the Dark Sky Reserve Association, which looks at maintaining accreditation status and also looking at increasing it so that Masterton and potentially Tararoa actually come into that as well. So there is a document was prepared by the steering group and sent to Minister Upston before her visit, the one that you attended. And that was to basically surface the opportunity to her in terms of potential investment. So that work has started, and we're going to continue working under the remit of the steering group to progress that.
Okay. Thank you.
May I recall the combined council meeting where Destination Wairarapa presented, and they talked about the tourists that do come to the region, and 90% of them travelled from within New Zealand and probably by road. So I think trails is certainly one area where we focus on, but also if we have the wine trail, it is another area that we could focus on because 90% of those tourists are driving to get here. So if we are going to invest, focusing on the wine trail might be a really good way to ensure those tourists have a great experience when they do come.
Jeff. Thanks, Matt. Further questions?
It's like a question thought. Question might come from that. Just observing what you've said, plus what Roger said about the 4 pillars, right? And Destination Wairarapa on 1 pillar and you guys on the other 3. And the fact that you, okay. And the fact that Wellington NZ do tourism for Wellington. I just wonder if there would be efficiencies in it's slotting in under you. Like, it just seems that there is gaps or overlaps. And just from the outside, I obviously don't know exactly what's going on, but I just wonder, do you think it would be more efficient if you owned the tourism strategy for the Wairarapa? I know that is a big question, but it just, there's kind of more issues being raised.
I think what you're touching on is a challenge that the tourism sector is facing across the country. And it does come to the destination management plan and who owns them and who has the responsibility of actually delivering on them. If I'm honest, we have the same challenge in terms of delivering the destination management plan for Wellington City. So City Council does fund Wellington NZ a not insignificant amount of money to be the RTO for the city. Most of that goes into marketing the city so that there is more foot traffic in town, and then hospitality, retail, hotel, like all of these businesses thrive. City Council does fund us to employ 1 person with a very small amount of budget to look after the destination management plan for the city. Mm-hmm. So in terms of, it's not so much about the barriers and who owns strategy. Destination Wairarapa are extremely well placed across tourism in the Wairarapa specifically, and they do work with us quite closely, both here in Wairarapa and also with our team in Wellington. The major barrier is funding to enable the destination management plan to actually be owned by people who have the time and the resource to do something about it. If it was up to me, I would suggest that those people should probably sit within Destination Wairarapa, but I think it would be hard to require them to do something about it without further resource. Mm. That's a problem for the country, though. Mm. What it comes down to is that at the moment, funding for RTOs is pretty much entirely reliant on local councils. Mm. I don't need to tell you the state of funding availability within councils. You'll know that better than I do. What Roger talked about, though, is the changes that are happening within the tourism sector across the country and what MB and Minister Epstein are driving. What's very exciting about this is that it's probably going to be a major reform of tourism for the country. It will be the first in many, many, many years, and it's not looking to be a partisan decision. So the minister is very keen to have officers within MB engage in depth with tourism actors across the country to make sure that whatever change is put forward is sustainable over an extended period of time. So watch this space. I think what will matter is staying across this, and that's where Anna, Roger, and the team and us in Wellington are working together and engaging with MB to make sure that reform of tourism actually makes good on the promise that was surfaced through the destination management plans that were funded to be developed but not funded to be implemented.
Thank you. No further discussion? Right. We have one recommendation, and that's that we receive the report. We have a mover and a seconder.
I'll do it again.
Councillor Casey and Councillor Newman, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thanks, Tash. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. 8.6. CDC response to external consultations policy. Bex. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, actually, how quick are we going to be?
1 minute.
We're at 2 hours mark. Sorry, Bex.
Right.
I'll move that we adjourn for. You happy with 5 minutes? Is that long enough?
Yep, that'd be fine.
Have a second. Thank you, Councillor Newman. All in favour?
Aye.
Adjourn.